Show me a sane man, and I will cure him for you. Do you know this feeling? You meet someone new. It starts off exciting, almost magical. The conversations are intense. The connection feels deep. But over time, something shifts. You give more than you receive. You become insecure. You start questioning yourself. And eventually you ask, why do I always attract the wrong people? Maybe you've felt this way more than once, and every time, you thought this time would be different. But the pain feels all too familiar. In this video, we'll explore this exact question, and you'll discover it has less to do with bad luck and more with deeply rooted psychological patterns. Patterns that often operate unconsciously, yet strongly shape your relationship experiences. Together, we'll look at your inner beliefs, your self-image, and what you may have repressed, yet still guides you. You'll see that these patterns didn't arise randomly, but from experiences deeply imprinted in your subconscious. Childhood as the origin. What you learn early, you repeat later. Our first attachment experiences in childhood shape our self-image and our understanding of love. If you learned that love is conditional, you may reproduce that in adulthood. Relationships where you constantly feel the need to prove yourself, where you aren't truly seen. Maybe you learned that affection only comes when you conform or behave nicely. These patterns run deep, and they still influence you, even as an adult. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This is where psychological work begins, recognizing patterns before they repeat. Once you understand that your current decisions stem from old experiences, you can begin to choose differently. And it's never too late to question these imprints and allow new, healthier experiences. The pull of the familiar. Why we repeat what once hurt us. Humans are creatures of habit, and our psyche doesn't automatically seek what's good for us. It seeks what feels familiar, even if it harms us. This is called repetition compulsion, an inner drive to repeat the familiar in hopes of healing it this time. It's a desperate attempt to gain control over old wounds by reenacting them in new situations. If you experienced emotional coldness as a child, you may be drawn to people who also keep their distance. Not because you want that, but because your nervous system recognizes the dynamic. It feels normal, and sometimes the familiar feels safer than something genuinely good. Unless we become aware of the pattern, we'll repeat it over and over. The shadow principle. Why we don't recognize unhealthy patterns. According to Jung, many of our motives live in the shadow. That part of the psyche we don't see or don't want to see. Emotions, desires, and traits we had to repress because they weren't welcome in our early environment. Hide there. Our shadow isn't only negative. It contains parts of us we had to hide to fit into others' expectations. If you are overly accommodating, your shadow may hide a deep longing for autonomy. Or if you always take care of others, you might be subconsciously hoping to finally receive the love you once missed. Or maybe you strongly reject traits in others that you actually carry yourself. These projections can sabotage your relationships. These unmet needs guide your behavior until you bring them into the light. Only by facing your shadow can you truly understand and shift your relationship dynamics. This takes courage, but it's a vital step toward inner freedom, self-image, and inner dialogue. What you believe about yourself shapes what you attract. If your inner voice says, "I must be perfect to be loved," or "I'm only worthy if I'm needed," you'll be drawn to people who reinforce those beliefs. You won't dare to be fully yourself for fear of rejection. You'll play a role and lose touch with your authentic self. Your self-image acts like a filter. It determines what you see, what you accept, and what you tolerate. That's why every healthy relationship begins with you. By questioning your inner beliefs, you lay the foundation for healthier connections. It takes time, patience, and compassion, but it's worth it. Emotional dependency, when your self-worth depends on others. Emotional dependency forms when your sense of self is tied to others' approval. Every relationship becomes a source of anxiety. What if they leave me? Or am I enough? Your emotional balance depends on someone else's response, and that makes you vulnerable. In such states, we're highly susceptible to toxic dynamics because we cling at all costs, even when it hurts us. We make compromises that exhaust us inside, just to avoid being alone. We often mistake attachment for love, but real love begins with self-acceptance. How to break the cycle. 4 steps to change. Observe your patterns consciously. What kind of people are you attracted to? What keeps repeating? Keep a journal or talk to a coach or therapist. Self-observation is the first step to transformation. Question your self-image. What beliefs do you hold about yourself? Where did they come from? Are they still true today? Not every story you tell yourself is accurate. Strengthen your emotional independence. Learn to regulate yourself instead of depending on validation. Meditation, journaling, movement, and creative activities can reconnect you with yourself. Set boundaries and learn to communicate them, not from fear, but out of self-respect. Practice saying no, gently but clearly. Healthy boundaries protect your energy and well-being. Conclusion. Relationships start with you. You are not powerless. Your experiences don't have to repeat endlessly. Once you start recognizing your patterns, integrating your shadow, and building your self-worth independently of others, you don't just change your relationships, you change your life. True connection happens when 2 whole people meet, not 2 halves trying to complete each other. You are allowed to feel whole, and then love from that fullness. And that doesn't mean being perfect. It means being fully yourself. If this topic resonated with you, feel free to share in the comments. What relationship patterns have you noticed in yourself, and what helped you break them? Your story might help others understand themselves better too. Subscribe for more videos on psychological patterns, Carl Jung, shadowWork, and emotional clarity. And remember, healing begins with awareness, and you have the power to walk that path.